Welcome back to part two of chapter one. George Washington University Professor Robert Roundtree here again. Anyway, we're going to pick up our discussion where we left off in part one, where we were talking about different orientations or strategies that different companies have in terms of trying to satisfy customers' needs and drive traffic to their stores, to their online stores. And so we're going to break it down into five different types. First one will be more production oriented. Second one is being focusing on a product. The third one will be more sales. And then the next one is more the traditional marketing concept. And then the last one is a relatively new one. There are more companies that are trying to become more environmentally conscious, socially conscious. And we'll talk a little bit about each one of those. Now, the first one, the production concept, is probably one of the oldest in the industrialized world. Essentially, you provide a product and you try to make it as affordable as possible relative to who you're competing with. Now, the strategy that's most common these days for people or organizations is to essentially find some place overseas, if you have a physical product, where you can manufacture it a lot cheaper. Traditionally, China has been one of those countries, South Korea, and more recently, India and Vietnam. And so the goal there is really just to see if you can find a way to squeeze the cost out of your cost structure and really appeal to those folks who are looking for a better deal for the same level of benefits. Actually, that's pretty much the kind of product that Walmart looks for. So if you look at Walmart and you see the products that they actually sell, they're going to have a lot of products where the manufacturing process for those who sell those products to Walmart are such that they try to squeeze every last dime. And actually, you got to squeeze every last dime in order to be able to get it on Walmart shelves. Again, one of the oldest one, the production concept. Now, the product-oriented concept, typically these are going to be your firms that are a lot more innovative in nature. Most of your technology companies, so your Apples of the world, Microsoft, any tech-based company you can think of, even in the B2B space, IBM and some of the others. But the key question you have to ask yourself is the innovation valued by your customers? A lot of times, innovating for innovation's sake doesn't necessarily translate into consumer demand. So you have to be strategic in trying to figure out how do you bring an innovation to market and hopefully at the very same time spur demand. The third concept is more of the selling concept. And important point here, basic concept in marketing, market orientation versus product orientation. Those folks who are more of the selling concept base are more involved with product oriented, meaning if we can just basically build the best thing and then they'll actually consider buying it because it's really good and a good quality product or service. But coupled with that, though, most of these are what we call unsought goods, meaning things you just don't really know you need until you need them. And so some of the examples would probably be more insurance, some nonprofit stuff like blood donations and the like. But there, I think I may have mentioned this in class as well. Companies that are focused more on selling are also companies who focus on transactions. So these are the ones trying to get the next sale. They're trying to get the next sale, and hopefully that sale will be not their last, but they're not looking forward to building a relationship. Most good marketers build relationships, and we'll talk a few minutes toward the end of this segment about customer relationship management. But these folks who actually embrace the selling concept are really about transactions and moving on to the next transaction. Now, the marketing concept is one that is the more traditional way of looking at marketing, or at least the traditional way since the midway point of the last century, from the 1950s on, where essentially companies do lots of research, especially your packaged goods companies like Procter and Gamble is one of the pioneers when it comes to this whole marketing concept. So finding out what consumers need by doing research and delivering that which they say they believe they want. It works to a certain degree, but one of the problems is especially with tech-based companies or technology-based products, sometimes people just don't know that they need it until you convince them that they need it. So who would have thought that 20 years ago we'd really feel like we needed GPS technology in our cars? I know I can't even think about not having a GPS in my car any longer. So any car that I get from now on, it has to have that type of technology. But generally, research is really what's going to focus. Consumer-based market research for those companies who embrace the marketing concept. That's the first step that they take before they decide to build another widget. Now, the next one is probably one that is becoming a little bit more and more popular as time goes on, as we start to think about things like pollution, environmental issues, helping those who are in need. Typically, companies who embrace this societal marketing, they like to make a buck, but at the very same time, they really want to help out their community. Probably one of the most common ones in recent years, a shoe company called Tom's. I know a lot of students tend to buy their products, and I think they tend to buy it because they like the philosophy of the company, which is one of the reasons why they do it. I'm pretty sure they have, interest in helping people, but for the most part, it is their identity. Now, to a lesser extent, though, Target spends an awful lot of money and donating an awful lot of money to communities around the country based on the sales that they have within a particular location. And so most of it will go to education, but they do some other things in communities as well. I'd probably say that compared to Walmart, Target is probably considered to be more societally aware, if that is a phrase. But always very important to figure out what your mission is going to be. So every company has to figure out where do they stand. Because after all, if you are a public company, you have to, at some point, report to either a board of directors or a group of shareholders, and you have to explain to them why you're not making whatever your target goals are in terms of profitability or sales. So usually companies where the societal mission is part of the overall mission, it really makes a lot more sense for them to fall short because it's sort of planned for. But you have to figure out who you are as an organization and then build a strategy around that, and then taking into account that part of what you're going to make and return to your shareholders is going to be less because part of your mission is to take part of the profits and provide it as benefits to others. So when we think about trying to prepare a marketing plan, remember a plan, I'll use the word strategy, always think about the P's. So the most common concept in marketing, basic marketing, is called the marketing mix. It's the mix of tools or strategies that companies can use. And those strategies revolve around the product that they create. And even within product, you could also include the packaging, the physical packaging. The price, there's the strategy that needs to be implemented regarding your pricing. If you are a premium brand and your competitors are premium priced and you're targeting a market that really values premium oriented products, then your pricing strategy needs to be consistent in that way. Promotion as well. I mean, you have to figure out how do you communicate with your target market. What movies or TV shows do they watch? What magazines do they read? What online blogs do they read? How do you connect with them? Can you connect with them through social media? Do you do it through traditional radio? Depending on who your target market is, you have to figure out what the promotional plan, promotional mix. We'll talk about integrated marketing communications. All those things have to be very consistent in targeting whoever it is you're trying to sell to. And the last traditional P is place. Place, you substitute place for the word distribution. And distribution means the physical place where you go and buy the product. And that could be something as simple as a vending machine, which is what we call a channel or place to buy. It could be a convenience store, which is a channel, a place to buy. It could be what they call big box retailers. That's a channel, a place where you can buy. Online is a huge and ever-growing channel where people can actually buy products and services. And so all these things have to be integrated in a way that makes sense for the message you're trying to communicate to your potential customers or current customers. Now I'm going to begin this discussion, and then we're going to break here, and I'm going to start it in chapter or part 3 of chapter 1. But it's this whole notion of customer relationship management. Now remember, we're contrasting the difference between companies who are transaction oriented, meaning these are the ones who just try to sell you stuff, versus organizations that try to build relationships with you. And so in the last part of this chapter, we're going to focus on this customer relationship management process to see how we can build relationships and hopefully build some kind of brand loyalty with our customers. So see you on the other side.